All right, everyone. So Triple H talked about the kind of criticisms that are coming regarding the WWE Unreal series. We're going to react to it. Here we go.
Usually, you don't see folks willing to do that. I wonder what, if any, concerns you may have about letting people in a little bit more, letting them see a little bit more, giving them the license, dare I say, to be a bit more critical about all the ins and outs that go into the WWE. Some would argue that that could potentially work against you. Obviously, you're not in the business of doing things that work against you. So, did you take that into consideration? And how did you come to the conclusion that you came to that this was the best thing for you to do?
Absolutely. We all looked at that. We looked at every aspect of it and the positives and the negative, and we weighed it out. And you can't be afraid to do something in life. You can't be afraid that, well, somebody might criticize us. If we were afraid that people might criticize what we do, we wouldn't put on a show every week. It's part of what what makes us wonderful and what we do is that you can look at it behind the scenes. You can.
So before I let him finish that, I do think this is one thing that the WWE does way better than all the other professional sports is WWE is constantly reinventing itself, constantly doing new things, constantly trying new things. They are on a constant state of trying to, okay, not just, I don't want to make it seem like you have to move with the times, but they're constantly trying to improve the product in a way, and they do it quicker than I think anybody else does. So hearing Triple H say that tells you everything you need to know about the company, which is this is a company that is just not going to say, well, we might get backlash for that. They're just going to do it, right? If they feel it's beneficial for the business, if they feel like it's something worth trying, they're just going to do it.
Look at it no different than a sport. You can look at it and say, this coach doesn't know what he's doing. I would have done this, and I know that would have been better. You can think all those things, but seeing what goes into it, I think of us a lot as people that weren't fans of F1 racing, see the behind the scenes of everything that goes into it, and it has increased their respect of an industry, their respect of what those athletes go through, and what goes into bringing a race to life. I think.
By the way, if you watched our video we did, actually, I don't know if it's going to be out by the time we publish this one, but if not, you can check that one out after. This is one of the points I brought up, and I was just going anecdotally, right? When I watched WWE Unreal, I did not feel like a lot of people claimed that this would do, right? A lot of people were saying it's like a magician, right? If you tell everybody how to do a trick, it's not going to be as cool. I didn't feel that way with WWE Unreal. When I was watching it, I wanted more of the behind the scenes, like actual behind the scenes, like give us more of how it all works. I got more respect, right? It became more of like, oh my God, this process, right? It's not just, wow, the wrestlers are physical, they're physically talented, they're so athletic. That's not it, right? It is so much more. It's the timing. It's the remembering every move you have to do throughout the match. It's telling the story, the pressure. I mean, all of that, right, made me respect WWE, everybody from Triple H down to the last wrestler on the roster more. How all of that works was and I knew some of it, right? I knew about gorilla position. I knew about that stuff, but to see it actually in action in that way, to see it actually happen in that way, like I said, I gained respect.
This just increases the respect level for what we do. Are there people that are going to criticize? Yes. Are they going to see things out of context or moments in time that they want to criticize and jump on? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, um, we put on an amazing entertainment program that is seen by millions and millions of people around the globe. This is a look into what everybody behind the scene goes through to put this show on. It is their life, it is their passion, and we all come at it from that point of view. So I think at the end of the day, the passion earns respect from our fans, and that's why we're doing it.
And by the way, it's not just the behind the scenes people, although we did get even more respect for them. It's also the wrestlers, how they relate to the behind the scenes people, right? So you have a match producer, you have a timekeeper. So the match producer and the timekeeper, they have to go through all of this to help the wrestlers tell the story. Then the wrestlers have to go out there and deliver it. But then you're running into time constraints. So then it's like, okay, we got to cut those out. So the wrestlers have to cut that out on the fly and still tell the same story they were trying to tell. Just it becomes so impressive to see what they do. And so I think there's arguments against WWE and Real. The funny thing about WWE and Real is that the kind of culture shock that I think people might have thought it would have been, and maybe it was for some, maybe I'm just someone who knew a little bit more than kind of the average person at the time. I didn't get the culture shock moment of this, right? There were things I learned, certainly. And like I said, those are things that I now have even more respect for WWE for. But I didn't have that moment of like, oh my God, like I did not know that was even close to how they do it. Right. So I just don't know if this is as big of a trade secret giveaway as they would have thought. So I think Triple H, this is one of the things I even loved about WWE and Real, is that one of the things I really like about Triple H is that he doesn't appear to give PR BS spins. And one example of that is like when we talked about in one of our prior videos, the kind of WrestleMania Unreal episode. And, one of the things I thought of was, man, that Cena match with Cody, like I was so excited for it. Cody Rhodes and John Cena are such big stars. I loved Cena winning, beating the record. Great WrestleMania moment. But we all agree that that match did not live up, or I don't want to say live up, that's the wrong word. That match was not nearly as good as the main event from the previous day, right? Where you have the triple threat match and this big turn of Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins. Like there was just so much excitement in that match. And then the ending of the Cody Cena match was kind of right? With Travis Scott coming out, The Rock doesn't come out. There's not really any, Travis Scott's kind of the big surprise in that. And if you watch WWE Unreal, Triple H basically says, yeah, that match was never going to be as good as the triple threat match before, right? And to have that kind of clarity in admission, it shows that he's connected, I think, to how your average fan is viewing the product. Because that's the exact feeling I had in terms of like, it just wasn't as good as the main event from the day prior. But to know that the guy kind of running the show, right, the guy who's in charge of all these decisions, he felt the same way, and that it wasn't something where they like, oh yeah, we're gonna have this. They knew exactly what it was going to be when the match was there, and they knew exactly they had a plan, right? So it wasn't a mistake. It was this is how they knew it was going to go. It eased my feelings about it a little bit. It made me feel like, you know what? They get it, right? They do get it. They understand it. And so I don't have a problem with the WWE Unreal series. I enjoyed watching it as I enjoy watching all of their stuff. I just don't know if it was the culture shock that a lot of people thought it would be. I do think if their whole goal here is to try to attract kind of your maybe someone who knows wrestling but doesn't watch it, and they watch this and this gets them even more excited for it, I do think there's a chance it has that effect. So thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.